Hey guys, it's Dennis here with Collider Games. I'm also joined by Dorian. Dorian, how are you doing?
What's up, guys? Doing great, feeling great. It's been a long, stressful week, but it's Friday. We're here. We're going to talk about it up top with the PS5. So I've had that to help hold me over during this incredibly stressful time. But yeah,
And also from South Africa, Josh Weyers. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's the weather's been interesting. Like it's raining, it's cold, which is weird because it was really hot 2 days ago. But you know what? That's at this point in time, weird weather is like the least of my problems in 2020. But I'm doing good. Like all around, doing pretty good. Got a lot of good news to talk about this week, and I'm looking forward to. I'm jealous of Dorian for other
Yeah,
reasons, but
yeah,
we'll get
yeah.
into why I'm very jealous of Dorian in a second. But yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into Dorian and talking about the PS5, which he actually has one, and everyone's jealous of him, and he's going to talk about Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yeah, long week here in the U.S. If people don't know, we had a big elections. I assume the rest of the world is watching, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
finally over. And well, I mean, it's like this close to being over. It's like this. Everyone. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to happen on election night, but I figured, okay, maybe like by the next morning or so, next afternoon. It's like been a few days. I think the final call will probably be later this afternoon or evening. But anyways, that was just a long time for everyone here in the U.S. But Dorian, he got to distract himself with the PS5. Me and Josh
yes.
have not touched it. So, what are your overall first impressions of kind of the physical hardware of the actual device, Dorian?
Physical hardware, like if you make sure to go check out my unboxing videos on the channel. But first impressions, first thing, as soon as I open up the box, it is incredibly big. Like there's no like on the scale, like you've seen pictures and stuff like that. Like anytime you've seen pictures or anything, I feel like it does not truly capture how big the actual
Mm-hmm.
thing is when you have it in your hand up close. And I thought it was interesting because usually coming to like when we have a new console or something like that, we would have initially had the opportunity to either test it out at E3 or something like that ahead of time, so we kind of know what we were jumping
Yeah.
into. But this one, we are going in completely blind, completely like, damn, all right. So like taking it out of the box, like actually getting to see it, my first thought was it looks white on like pictures and stuff like that, but it's more of like a charcoal grayish, like very dark tonish grayish type of white, which I really love. I think it looks incredible like when it's just sitting there. It the material on the outside of it feels very grabbable, very like I have it right here. Hold on.
Yeah.
I just try to
Show
grab
it
it so we
off.
can I can show you guys. So like
Yeah.
this material on the outside right here feels very like, very nice,
Rise it up
very
a bit so we can see how
hold
big it is. Oh, yeah,
on,
that
let
thing
me
is big. It's
hold on,
funny
let me
because
take
in
it
the
out.
pictures, it doesn't look that big because everyone talks about the Xbox Series X, right? Like it looks like a mini fridge. It
That's
seems
Yeah.
like the PS5 is actually the same size except for it's taller, right?
Show me the
So
front.
Yeah, dude. So like I have it right next to the PC, Dennis. It's about
okay.
the same height as the side as the PC, if that's a good comparison. But yeah, this is
Okay.
the front, and they did a good job of like compared to the PS4. So I guess we'll just use this time to like do a little comparison real quick. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Got to put the headphones back on. So, oh, sorry, got some feedback. So this is this is the 2013. I got this in December for Christmas. OG PS4. This has been with me for 7 years now. It's a little bit broken. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
like you take this piece off real quick. Like I'm damaged in the flight, but that being said, like if you notice, there's a power. This is a power like eject button, but they didn't really make that clear. Like there wasn't any sign or anything like that on here. So they did a good
I remember
job.
that pissing me off.
Yeah, so they did a good job of making sure there's a clear indication of like, hold on, let me try to get it as close as possible to there's an actual power button, there's an actual eject button, and
Oh
they're
yeah, there's little
clearly separate.
symbols above it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're separated apart, so it makes it very easy. And then on here, which I thought was really cool, like, and I'm sorry I can't hold it up. It's like it's heavy as hell, so like I gotta keep putting it down, take breaks. But I thought it was cool as well. As like they have a micro USB port as well as a regular micro a USB port, so you can have both options. And the controller itself is a micro USB C controller, so I think I absolutely love it. I think that's perfect. And then just now that I have it in my hands, the actual controller itself, the best controller I think I've ever used like in my life.
I knew it.
It fits so like it took me a second to get used to when I took it out of the box, but once I booted up the PlayStation 4 and turned it on and was like actually using it, like I was like, damn, this is perfect. It fits right in the pocket perfectly, and just the adaptive triggers, the haptic feedback that they use and incorporate into this, it feels like no other like experience I've ever I don't even know how to explain it. So another thing with it, it comes pre-installed with Astros Playroom, which is basically like the sandbox type of game, it's basically their equivalent to Wii Sports, I want to say. So you jump into there.
It's there to show off the haptic feedbacks and
dude,
triggers, right?
It really does. I jumped into a what's it called, a PS4 compatible game before I really jumped into Astros Playroom. So the controller wasn't like fully like made for the PS4 compatibility. So once I jumped into Astros Playroom, I was like, Jesus Christ, it's a whole nother experience from the 3D audio itself, because they advise you to actually try to play it without headphones and try to just like use the speaker TV audio as well as the 3D audio on the controller itself. And it really did feel like it was creating more of an immersive, like making me feel like I was there on the beach. And so when you jump into Astro's Playroom, the one stage I have on there right now is the cooling spring stage. But as soon as you jump into it, like I don't know how they did it, but when you're walking on the ground, they made it feel like the controller is basically the ground. It really feels like you're walking as Astro. I don't know how they did it. And the best way I can explain it is like, it feels like, when you're on your phone, the haptic feedback, like when you're touching, like if you have that type of setting installed, like when you're texting somebody or something like that, or you pressing down on something, that's kind of how it feels throughout the controller in a way. And I just don't know how they were able to create so much immersive technology in the palm of your hands. The way I wrote it in my review is like, it basically feels like VR for your hands in a way. Like this is the closest you're going to get the feeling like you're a character besides actually being in VR. So I thought the DualSense controller was like amazing. And speaking back just on the PS5 itself, like when you're booting it up, I know there were some leaks online about like how fast the loading screens are, but damn, when like this coming from the PS4, I feel like it travels like 3 times as fast. Like when I'm clicking on, when I start up the loading screen, go to Miles Morales, literally took like less than 10 seconds for us to get to the main menu. And then, like on the Miles Morales game itself, because I can talk about the review as well. But like when you're doing the fast travel, like let's say you're going from one side of the map to the other. I remember specifically on the 2018 version, it was a little bit of a loading time. The fast travel was a little bit of loading time. This one, there was no loading time whatsoever. I feel like for me, it was like took like 7-8 seconds. I'm like, damn, like that is fast as hell travel, bro. Like I just don't understand how they were able to make it so powerful. And coming from the PlayStation 4, really did feel like a big leap in technology from everything that I've gone through with the PlayStation 4, with the PC now, with the Xbox One X, and it does feel like a generational moving console.
Okay. Before we get into the Spider-Man Miles Morales review, which you already have one on the channel, right? Like the full review. Okay, but before we get your kind of overall, like kind of a quick review, I want to ask about 2 things. The UI for the actual, because we saw a preview of that. We had like 11, 12, 13 minute preview of that. How is that working for you? Because there's 2 things I notoriously, as someone who's been mostly team Xbox and recently kind of gotten more into the PS stuff, I still don't really care for the PlayStation controller, and I don't really care for their UI, but it sounds like, at least the controller sounds like it's way, way better. It actually looks a lot better to me. But what about the UI?
Dude, the UI, I genuinely loved everything about it. Definitely is it definitely is an upgrade from the PS4. Like you, Dennis, I definitely love the Xbox One X, the Xbox type of home screen menu options, how you're just leaving it like that. When I was playing with the PlayStation 5, when I was just chilling up, browsing through everything, it was smooth, seamless. It made it feel like, because they do have a media section, which I can't talk about right now because of it's under embargo, but I definitely could see me, because I'm using an Amazon TV, I use like the Amazon default, but I could definitely see myself using like the PS5, like home, the UI, using that as the default because of like all the options and how seamless you are able to switch from the games to the media section to like if you want to watch Netflix or something like that. I thought it was so much. It felt like a whole new. It felt like iOS 14 or something. I don't know how they were able to make it so smooth and so transition.
Have you tried out their party/social settings?
No,
Or like
we
an
were actually
yeah.
Not allowed to.
actually today now I'm actually able to go online. So after
Uh,
today I can now like start playing multiplayer games and like show them online and stuff like that. So
nice.
next week I can talk more about that. But I was able to download some like I said again, some backwards compatibility games like Ghost of Tsushima was one of them that I downloaded first, and that looks extremely beautiful on the PlayStation 5, but I did want to highlight some of the older games that they were able to bring back, like Infamous Second Son. I thought that was that was originally a PS4 title launch, so bringing it back for this one, I was excited to see how it was going to look, and it looks amazing, bro. Like I wanted to just start playing it again from the beginning and just seeing everything and playing the story like from the beginning, because although like I said, the controller wasn't necessarily built for these PS4 games, the backward compatibility, but they did their best to try to incorporate some of the features. So there is some haptic feedback there, like on some of the punches and things like that, but it wasn't necessarily made in mind. But I thought it did do a good job of still trying to use the controller to the best of its capabilities.
Yeah, so speaking of the backwards compatibilities, how has that been going? Have you been trying a lot of your old PS4 games or just a few? I know that I heard GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 are going to be like upgraded for I mean, not like
I'm
not a
assuming God of War
remaster,
as
but they're
well.
going to be backwards compatible, and maybe, maybe the resolution will be upgraded
Yeah,
a
so
bit or something
for the
like
most
that.
part, I just did the ones because I believe I'm allowed to talk about this, but the PlayStation Plus, they do have that service up and running for the most part in terms of like the catalog of games that players will be able to get if they sign up for the subscription, like all the old games, like God of War, like all of those games. So downloading those, first of all, like downloading those 10 times faster on this than I've ever had to wait on the PS4 or anything like that. But yeah, I didn't really have any issues or anything when it came to downloading those and booting those up and trying to see what it was like versus the PS4 version. The only thing I just couldn't test out were the online features of Ghost and the different games like Apex or other multiplayer games that I wanted to just dive into. But as far as like being able to jump right in from it being a PS4 version, like I didn't have any issues, and it you can definitely tell there was a bump in quality, but it's not like how the ray tracing or anything on Miles Morales or anything like that, but definitely a big difference.
Okay, one last question before you jump into the Spider-Man Miles Morales review. The graphics, you said like with the leap in technology, obviously you felt that with the jump in the loading times, right? You can feel that speed there. In terms of the graphics, how big is the jump? Because we always know that the first generation of games on a new generation of consoles isn't always, it's always like an improvement, but we don't know how the potential of this until later in the cycle. How is that jump?
Bro, it is such a huge ass jump. Like there were moments when I was playing any type of game, I just had to pause and just was like taken aback by how far it has come. I was really looking. I had to pull it up. I have because I was able to do the capture card. I was take it out, put it on the TV, and be like, "There's no way it looks this fantastic. Like, there's no way." Like, I would take it out, put it back on the capture card, put it on the little 4K monitor that I have, and it just look. I would just be looking into the screen, just like blown away by how much of an improvement. Because, like you, not that I was skeptical, I was just like cautiously optimistic. Like, all right, this is a new console we're moving into, but how much of a difference am I really going to see? Especially now that I do have like the PC equipment and I'm able to see like higher resolution things. So I was like, all right, how will I really be able to see a difference? And I truly do. Like there is such a significant difference between going from the PS4, going like playing on a PC or something like that, to jumping to the graphics that this console can provide. Like it's so ridiculous. And it's like I'm just gonna talk about it specifically when I was playing Miles, like because I played Miles Morales on the PS4 version first before jumping to the PS5 version. Yeah, so I played the whole game through PlayStation 4 before even touching this. So played through that, just wanted to make sure like I could definitely see a difference. And then once I booted it up, first 5 minutes, I was like, yep, there's a whole, like, you have to experience this game on the PS5 to really truly get the most capable, like truly get everything out of it. Like, it was fun on the PS4, a blast on the PS4, and I don't want to like deter anybody from getting on the PS4 because they already mentioned you can upgrade to the PS5 version free of charge. So if you do want to get a PS4 and wait and get a PS5 later, then you still want to play Miles, definitely do that. But there was such a huge difference on the PS5. Like when you're swinging as Miles, you could see it on the Peter, like the PS4 version, but you could truly see every little fabric on his suit when he's swinging. Like you could see the waves and the ripples of his suit. It was so much detail put into everything, and I was just like, wow, I can really see everything that was on the suit. Like if you take damage or something like that, you go into a cutscene, the suit's all damaged, it looks worn down, it looks torn, but it looks so crisp and so beautiful. Like the ray tracing and how they're able to make all the lights bounce off of the suit. It's just like, how are they able to do that? Especially like the game itself is a little bit short, like definitely shorter than the 2018 version, but the suits themselves, like I feel like it's in itself is its own selling point, because from the Into the Spider-Verse suit to the other suits that you unlock in the game, I just don't understand how they were able. It felt like they took the Into the Spider-Verse character, they were like, hey, let's just rip him out the movie, threw him into the game without like any technology or anything. They said, hey, into the Miles, jump over to this universe. And it felt like I was playing with that character, like just how they made the details of like slower frame rate and all that. I was so blown away by how much the suits translated onto this PS5 version, and it added so much more depth to the game, like especially with the animated suits and stuff like that, because you could really see how they contrasted against how like the buildings and stuff and all of that. It was just incredible, man. Like I'm praising, like I feel like that I do have a couple critiques, but I'm just like, I have nothing but praise, because this has been like 7 years in the making of a new console, and I've been with Sony like since day one. So to be here, like getting to see it firsthand, is just something like I never thought I'd be able to say. So it truly was a game-changing experience for me.
Nice, because the problem with us who haven't played it is that you see the videos on YouTube or wherever you're watching these trailers and stuff, and it looks good, but it's very hard to tell the graphics, like because it's compressed video and whatnot versus actually you playing it. I'm sure is a huge difference than you seeing the trailers beforehand.
Absolutely. Like I was getting hyped with seeing the trailers. Like we talked about our reaction to the trailers and all that. And then we said like the footage looks good, but it is truly a whole nother level, especially how they just how they brought Harlem to life, and it feels like its own character in a way, just and because it is during winter time too, like all the snowiness around it, just all the details like that you notice. But it just blew me away just how everything looked. And it, like you said, it's another thing to watch somebody play it, but to fully play it and fully see all the details right in front of your face, there's absolutely, you have to just do it for yourself, because it really is the money, like $500 for this big ass console. Like I don't want to say it's like worth it, but if you do have the funds, like it is a game changer in my opinion. It's effing fire.
Okay. So what about
the quick question before we move on? Because I have a feeling we're going to move on to Miles Morales soon. Real quick. Well, two things I want to say. First of all, Dorian, when you get the chance, because at least from all the research I've done on the PlayStation party/social settings, I feel like the only way you're going to get a real good feel for that is if you contact somebody else with a PS5 and hop into a party together to test out the social spaces, see what it's like when people do the screen share, when they're like I'd love to know more about that specifically, because apparently they're releasing a mobile app as well. So I can join your social space, even though I don't have a PS5, I can still join you in your PS5 social space parties and all that stuff, which is quite cool. So if you know anybody else with a PS5, I'm sure one of the other team members or someone must have one. Just be sure to try that out. And then super quick question for you, because I actually currently, right now, I know so many people that are going to buy themselves a PS5 controller before even getting a PS5, because I've heard such good things about the PS5 controller, so much more than the Xbox Series X controller, that people I know so many people buying the PS5 controller for PC. So my question to you, Dorian, is, are you now going to start using that PS5 controller on your PC instead?
Dude, I try. Like if it becomes compatible, I don't know. Like I don't know. I tried. It didn't work with Apex.
Yeah, I'm sure
Oh, really?
the games probably need to be updated
Yeah,
to be compatible with the PS5. I'm sure they eventually will, but I
Oh
think
yeah, it'll be
it's up
soon
to
though.
up to each person game. You know, I'm sure new games
Yeah.
will all be compatible, but I'm talking about older games. You know, I'm
Well,
that's
the,
just
the
my
PS4
assumption.
controller, the software for the PS4 controller is just it's built into Windows 10. Like you didn't even have to download any kind of add-on. As far like if you have up-to-date Windows 10, it's already built in. So I'm sure that like on the next possible Windows update or whatever,
Yeah,
they'll
maybe.
probably end up involved. Because
and
I'd
that's
imagine
another thing.
we're
Speaking
not going to
of
get the haptic feedbacks or the trigger stuff. I know that, but like just holding the controller is so
Mhm.
much more comfortable, you know?
Yeah, and you just reminded me they do have, so I think that might be the reason because they do, like, as I was like playing the game, they do have, this is something for the first I actually noticed because they didn't do this on the PS4, but the PlayStation 5, the DualSense controller, like it has its own like separate updates now on the PS5, I guess. So like
Oh
that might
wow.
be a reason because it just went through another update like before I tried to put it to the PC. But yeah, definitely whenever it does become compatible with PC for playing PC games on with the controller, definitely doing that, Josh, because this
How's the grip?
controller, dude, it like I said, it fits right in the pocket. Like let me see, where's have the PS4 controller right here, and
Is it
this one
lighter or
now
heavier?
heavier, definitely just
Hell
a
yeah.
tad bit heavier, but just like enough to notice. Hold on, I'll try to let me
That's
take this
good.
out real quick just so you could see like the size comparison.
Sweet. And then would you say the triggers are tighter than the original triggers? Like noticeably tighter?
These bad boys, yes.
They're
Yes, for
tighter.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and especially with the like the adaptive trigger thing, how it pushes back. I can't wait for
It
people
pushes
to get.
back. So
Oh,
it's like
dude, yeah.
super spring loaded.
Oh, dude, there's a whole. So I can talk about my Astros Playrooms impressions, but there's a specific part of the Astros Playroom where you have to like he can walk around in Rome and stuff, but he turns into a physical spring.
Like a
So
spring thing.
yeah, you
Yeah.
have to so when you're pressing down on the spring, it feels like it's physically fighting back at you, like to
That's
like
so
like, and
sick.
then like when it yeah, dude, the adaptive triggers by
That's
themselves. I
so
don't.
sick.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This is controller is magic, dude. I don't know how they did all this, but it's cool, dude. I can't believe it. But yeah, DualSense controller, the PS5, amazing, incredible. But I definitely highlight for me is the controller
Controller.
itself.
Hell yeah.
Let's go back to Spider-Man Miles Morales. How is the gameplay itself and also the story? You know, because one of the biggest things was that people praised about the first Spider-Man game was the story.
Absolutely. So definitely love this game from start to finish, albeit it is shorter. Just want to remind people that I feel like we have to let people know that ahead of every time. Like this is on the same wavelength as Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking about if you're just burning through the story by itself, like you're not doing any side quests. You're just like looking. I just want to go through the story.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're looking at about like a good 8 to 9 hours, depending on what difficulty mode you have it on.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say you have it on spectacular, you're having some trouble doing all the tasks and stuff, then you'll probably get like 11 to 12 hours out of it, the story mode, if you're doing it on super hard. So just in general, for me, it took about 10 to 11 hours because I did do it on spectacular mode. But within that story itself, I want to say it felt like a very fleshed out story. I was satisfied by the ending. And with the story itself, because they only had a short amount of time, they didn't take it to a grand scale of making it feel like Miles had to save the universe or he had to save the world. This felt like a more real grounded story. It's about him moving to Harlem. He's basically starting fresh and trying to, I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't played the original game, but just starting fresh from what happened in the previous game. And his mom is running for council. And while he's dealing with all that, he's still trying to become Spider-Man while still not trying to be within Peter Parker's shadow. So it's him trying to still try to figure out his own, but still like, be his own Spider-Man. So I really thought it made for a compelling story because when you see the additional cast, which I can't talk about right now, but everybody that's included, and by the time like you finish with the story, you're like, damn, that felt like it was a extended movie that we just watched. It didn't feel like a DLC or like just a simple expansion pack. It felt like, they really put the time to tell a fleshed out story. And how I look at it is like, they really did this just so when Spider-Man 2 or whatever that it's titled, you have a definitive reason why Miles is like where he's at and why he's as good as he is, because everything he went through this story set him up to really be the next, like, the real next Spider-Man, or that next real hero that he's destined to become. So definitely set some future storylines for what's to come for his story in Spider-Man 2. But just all in all, I thought it was a very satisfying story. But the gameplay itself, incredible. I personally take out the time factor, like compared to 30 versus like this 12-hour. I personally love the gameplay more on this one than I did the Spider-Man PS4 version. And that might have some factors, of course, and like playing it on the PS5 definitely has a big factor into it. But just all in all, I felt like the moves, how they made sure this Miles Morales felt like his own and wasn't just a reskin of Peter Parker. And it felt like they really wanted to nail down the mannerisms, how he swings, how he fights, made sure that was completely different. And all those details really put the cherry on top for me, making this feel like I enjoyed this more than the original game. I wish this was as long as the original game. Hopefully we get some more of that in the future. But all in all, the gameplay itself was incredible. Like it elevated what already worked in the 2018 version, but just took it to a whole nother level while still making it feel like it was authentic to who Miles is as a person and as a character.
Cool. Josh, do you have any more questions about Spider-Man Miles Morales before Dorian moves on to Astros Playroom?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do. First, you know what? Actually, I'm going to leave this question for a little bit later.
Okay.
I just wanted to first off say, I've watched a lot of gameplay now about the game because I'm obviously obsessed with it. I'm currently, like I said earlier, I'm struggling to decide if I should because I really want to play the game for the story, and just because, like Dorian said, my biggest takeaway is it looks fun. Like the gameplay mechanics looks. I wish that the gameplay mechanics were that good in the previous Spider-Man. Just like you said, it would have made, like, I love the previous Spider-Man, great story, the gameplay was fun, but these like the gameplay, the fighting mechanics and the gameplay mechanics in Miles Morales look so much more fun. Like it's amazing. Like with all the things you can do with the electric abilities, like the invisibility. I'm very happy with that. So I'm kind of stuck right now. Should I buy it on PS4 and then get the free upgrade to PS5 when I get my PS5? I'm also like, this is maybe never going to happen, but in the back of my head, I'm praying that they do a PC release, because we have seen a lot of Sony exclusives get PC releases like a year or two later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So who knows? I mean, they've even said Final Fantasy 16, they're planning on bringing that to PC. They're also planning on bringing the Demon Souls remake to PC. So I don't know. The fact that they didn't bring the previous one to PC leads me to believe they might not do that with this. But who knows? Maybe with the Ultimate Edition, where they have the two games together, maybe sometime end of next year, we'll see a PC release. But yeah, my question to you, Dorian, is, and I think this is a fair question. I believe that the price, because look, it's a $50 game. You know what I mean? That is something worth considering. It's a $50 game, and I think it's worth the money because of how fun it is. But do you think $50 is worth it for the amount of gameplay you get? Do you think $40 may have been a better price point?
Well, I mean, like I always try to advise, like I try to say, like, I don't want to say anything is worth something, especially right now during this climate. We like people's income and like everything's all over the place. So I don't want to say like definitely worth it, but I do personally, my opinion, for $50, the amount of times I've like been able to not only replay it, but just like still play it and still have fun with it. I personally think it is worth it, in my opinion, because I feel like it has the same type of effect the 2018 version. I've still played the 2018 version. It has a lot of replayable factors about it, and that rings true to this one as well. Like especially with the side quests they do and everything like that. It doesn't get repetitive at all. Like in my review, I played it on PlayStation 4, played it on PlayStation 5, and playing it on PlayStation 5 again through the New Game Plus mode, and not getting tired at all. It's just as fun. One of the reasons why is just as fun is because of the gameplay, because of the combat, and you couple that with the adaptive controller. Like I've gotten some dirty ass combos like on the 2018 version, but I feel like with this one, it was so much easier, not just because of the difficulty settings or anything like that, just in general. Like I feel like it was much easier in terms of me ranking up combos and building up, not getting hit or anything like that, because I was just more in the pocket with the controller, more in the pocket with the character themselves, like how they were able to make Miles move so organically in the fights. It's
All right.
brilliant.
Well, then I guess another super short question for you is, what do the adaptive triggers feel like when you're swinging?
So the adaptive triggers aren't as like prevalent in this game. Like Astros, but the only Miles and Astros Playroom are really the only two PS5 games that I've got to really play that show off the adaptive triggers at all. Like with the swinging in this, there's really no real pushback or anything when it comes to the adaptive triggers. There's no no noticeable things like Astros Playrooms, but I do notice there's a slight bit more. You notice more of it with the haptic feedback when he's punching bad guys and things like that. Not really so much when it comes to the swinging itself, I want to say.
I mean, I guess the game was originally intended for PS4. I remember when they originally announced this game, it was a maybe that we might be getting the PS5 version. That was the whole point, that they said that they might release a PS5 next gen version. So the fact that, I mean, that was like a year ago, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, times have changed. We know, like, we have the PS5 version exists, you know what I mean? So I can see how the adaptive triggers might not work that well because it was an afterthought. You know, they did originally intend for this game to be a PS4 current gen game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't there wasn't too much, like it wasn't really utilized too much. The haptic feedback for sure, definitely, especially when you're punching spidey senses and things like that, but not so much with
I could imagine for the spidey senses,
the triggers. It wasn't used utilized as much. But another thing you kind of just reminded me of in general with the controller and with Spider-Man in general is just how much they were able to like not only like use the character himself, but use like his past. And I guess I can talk about like what you can. Prowler is in the game, that's a given, but any like just the story, how they were able to use Prowler and things like that, I really thought was cool. I wish I could talk more. We can talk more story details next week and go more into it, but all in all, I was fully satisfied with the game. I do wish it was longer. Like I wish that for the original game, but I can't wait to see what they do.
You think
like
they're going to do DLC?
Oh man, the way this left off, I see this more of not.
Like
I can see them doing
story.
a closing a chapter. This is just more like Miles becoming a hero, setting him up for the next game. I couldn't see them doing if they were to do DLCs. We talk off camera, but I couldn't see them doing DLCs for this. I would love to, not opposed to it, but don't see them using DLCs in this.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right, let's move on to Astros Playroom, because that was the other game that you got to play, Dorian. How was that? I mean, I'm not too familiar. I know Astros kind of like what their kind of mascot for PlayStation, or it's almost like their system mascot.
Yeah, I guess system. I guess we can call it a system mascot. Because he was more like a mascot for the VR game that they had before.
Yeah.
So coming from the VR game coming to this, I wasn't too familiar with the VR game, but getting to play Astros Playroom, I'm pleasantly surprised with how, I want to say delightfully surprised. That's what this game is. It was just a simple delight. It's no Spider-Man. It's no like big game or anything like that. This game was just built to show off the capabilities of the DualSense controller, putting you in situations where you would need to use the different triggers, the locomotive motion, or whatever you call it, to where it can tell that the controller is moving, just things like that, whether it means using the 3D audio, because there's a mic in this or whatever, like you have to like blow in this to utilize a fan and shit like that. Your boy's got asthma, so I couldn't do those challenges too often. So like things like that I wasn't a fan of too much. But all in all, I thought Astros Playroom was just a great way. You have to play it on the PS5. If you get a PS5, it's pre-installed. So definitely recommend you like going through that before you jump into any other game, because it really does show off what this controller could do, because I played a couple other games, like I said, but then jumped into it, gave you a little bit of tutorials, because this part right here itself is a touchpad, like it's a touchpad, like you can drag your hand, it reads it and everything. So I thought just how they were able to show off all the different capabilities of this while still making it fun and looking fun and in general like that. I thought it was a good way to do that while still giving the fans a tutorial. So all in all, it's a quick, easy. There's 4 different stages you can run through. After you run through all of them, you feel like you're able to know what all the controller can do while still like unlocking a bunch of trophies and icons from Sony's history, all of their history. So I think that's another thing that's pretty cool, is unlocking like famous icon, not famous, but like iconic symbols and mascots and things like that from all of PlayStation's history.
Interesting. And so
nice. It
is
looks
this
like
like
it's an actual game, which is cool.
Yeah,
is
every time
it a digital purchase, or like how is the Astros?
I don't believe it's a digital purchase.
Usually comes for free with
it's just when you
okay.
boot it up. Yeah, when you boot up the PlayStation, like
Okay, I was
on
gonna
home
say, I don't
screen,
see it
it's
anywhere
right there.
for purchase. Okay,
every Astro adventure, Astro game that they've done, it's always
it's
been
free.
Yeah, it's always there to show off their new hardware. Always.
I
Like
see.
before the
Yeah.
VR, it was the first time they ever showed Astro was literally to show off the 6-axis motion in the PS4 controllers, or even the PS3 controllers. I think they used like it was so it was very just to show how like the motion works. So it's always been a free game. It's just like they're always showing it like to show off the hardware, but they've never felt like games. They've always just been like, here, it's an experience to show off what the controller can do or what the VR headset can do. And now it looks like they actually released like a little platformer game, which is
it feels like it's a game, and that's what I'm saying when I said a pleasantly delightful surprise, because I went into it thinking, oh, this is just like a tutorial, like let me just burn through this real quick, but ended up coming out of it like, oh, that's a fun, like me, my boy Astro's my boy now. Like I now he is the official mascot now that I've got to actually play with him. Like I have no issues with him now.
Nice. All right. Before we move on to other subjects, I just want to say, like, I know the Xbox Series X is coming out next week on November 10th, and the PS5 is November 12th. We didn't get a obviously
Xbox, your move. Come on now.
We didn't get a preview console.
We didn't get a
fridge for Xbox Series X, so that's why we're not reviewing. Because I know a lot of sites are, reviewing the PS5 and the Xbox Series X today, or a lot of their reviews are coming out today. We didn't get one, so that's why. And I'm Team Xbox, so
yeah, that's Xbox.
I'm not biased against Xbox. We didn't get one, so we can't say anything about it. All right. Let's move on to semi-related. The Godfall launch trailer came out. Also, it's going to be on November 12th on the launch day for PS5. It says it's going to be PS5 exclusive until May 2021, which a PC version is coming out. Not a PS4 version, but a PC version is coming out. So it's interesting because, like you guys mentioned before, a lot of these PlayStation games are coming out on PC. This one's coming out sooner than later because a lot of these are like, how long ago was like Horizon Zero Dawn, the console version?
2017. Oh, the console version, I believe 2017.
Yeah, it's 2017,
okay.
Josh.
So it took 3 years for it to get to the PC, right? This is a much sooner. So yeah, it's a Godfall.
But how long did it take Death Stranding though?
A year, maybe.
A couple months. Like,
no.
Really?
No, it was like a year.
I feel like it was less, just under a year. Could have been.
Or maybe I'm thinking Red Dead.
That could have. Red Dead took about a year as well. Red Dead did take about a year. That's for sure. Like, but you got a good point because I don't see companies that do this often. Like before Red Dead and Death Stranding, the only other game I know that did it quick enough was Final Fantasy 15, where that was also like within. Well, actually, no, that was like a year and a half that it took them to get to PC as well. So it's just
okay. It's about
interesting
almost a year for Death Stranding. It's July 14th of this year, and if I remember correctly, it came out in September or October of November of last year. So it's like, not quite a year, but longer than 6 months. So,
well, this is great news for me. I'll say that because I don't have a PS5, but my PC is better than a PS5. So I'm happy. Also because I know you guys, I've always been saying this for the longest time. Every time they release anything Godfall related, it's like they get me, then they lose me. Then they get me.
Did they get you with this one?
Hell yeah, Dennis. It looks good. Before the time, like there's like a video that they dropped, I think with the PlayStation experience that had this like hip hop or rap track to it
that was
well,
not good.
I didn't even like care
Not
about
because
the
hip hop
editing.
wasn't good, it just didn't match.
And also just the graphics looked worse than like the previous trailer. You know what I mean? Like, which maybe it was like their actual like in game. This is currently what we got going on. But yeah, no, this has got me excited. Like it looks so much better, especially like the lighting. That's the biggest takeaway from this trailer I saw is that noticeably the lighting is like they've upped their game with the lighting. That was the one thing that I didn't like with the previous trailer I saw with the hip hop rap thing. It was like there was no lighting. It looked like Diablo from 2011. You know what I mean? But with like slightly better, like the lighting at least. The graphics looked new, like next gen, but the lighting didn't. You know what I mean? Or like the textures looked high end, but then not the lighting. It was very weird. Whereas with this, it looks all around sick, and I was not expecting a PC release like I mean I was, but not at the same time. That's crazy. You know what I mean? I'm really happy about that personally.
Nice. Dorian, what do you think about this trailer?
It looks pretty good. I think I'm not sure if this is the game I said it reminded me of, or like the previous trailer, but it looks like a just expanded version of the Apple game Infinity Blade, and I'm all for it. Like it looks amazing, and I think not sure, but should be maybe getting a code for it soon. I don't know. I can't wait to play it, but I'm excited to see what it's about.
Yeah,
I mean, I love looter shooters, man. So a looter hack and slash, even better. And you said it right, dude. It actually blows my mind. The art style is very similar to Infinity Blade, like
Yeah,
just
it's like
the character models as well. It is very similar.
the
Yeah,
gameplay to me reminded me of God of War, but it
Yeah.
seems more
Like
combat
God of War
focused and
3,
less
you
and
know?
less story focused because I really haven't seen too much on the story for it, and
I
the
don't think
art
we've seen
design.
anything on the story
There
for
was
it.
a little bit. Remember, like way when they announced like the PS5, they had like a little montage of games. I remember that one had like a little cutscene in it, if I remember correctly, but it wasn't as memorable enough for me to remember what the hell they were talking about. And so, yeah, the art style, I like it. My concern, and it's kind of like I'm on the edge of like, oh man, is this really cool, or is it going to be too generic? You know what I mean? Like, is it going to look too samey, or is that just because of the trailer? I haven't played it yet, so it's one of those things where I have to play it and see.
Yeah. What do you guys think about their move to make it exclusive for 6 months to Sony? So PC and PlayStation only for the first 6 months. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's fine. I mean, if
So it's a good move. I think,
yeah,
it's a
So
fair
like
move.
yeah, that's how like everything should be. If there's a title that's coming out for something, unless it's like a super exclusive title for a company, but like yeah, just timed exclusives are the
That's the
best
way to go.
exclusives, so everybody can then inevitably get it, and then we don't have anybody complaining. Like if they would have just made, if they would have just made Spider-Man a timed exclusive for Avengers, I don't think anybody would have had any issue. Like I feel like that would have been fine. So yeah, I think that's a good move, Josh.
yeah, they're saying that it's like they haven't confirmed it, but it's probably likely coming to the Xbox Series X in 2021 along with the PC. I mean, if they aren't a first part, if they aren't a first party developer or they're getting a ton of cash to be completely exclusive, then it's probably just a timed exclusive that will come to the Xbox
Oh man,
eventually.
I just
What's up?
realized. I think the PC. I think even though I think the PC version is also only coming out in May. I
Yeah,
think it's only gonna. Yeah.
yeah.
Damn it.
Don't worry,
That's
you got plenty of
out of
stuff to
my mind.
play.
True.
Remember
Very true.
Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out in December.
Oh yeah, that's for
People
sure.
who checked out our interview. I know people were complaining. We did record that interview before the delay. I mean, literally it was like a week before. And so I said a couple times it's coming out November 19th. But yeah, there's plenty of things. Cyberpunk 2077, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Spider-Man Miles Morales. So there's tons of stuff for people to play, in the meantime.
I got bug snacks.
Oh, did you?
Dude, don't even talk to me about it.
That's like the free PS Plus game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I can't
free
talk about it though,
PS5
but I
game.
got it. I can just say
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
Is it horrifying? Because it looks horrifying.
I can't
It
say
looks
anything
creepy.
about it. I just say I got it.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it looks creepy because
Okay.
I didn't sign any embargo. So
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next thing. This one's interesting, especially if you know anything about Bethesda and their games, like Fallout and Elder Scrolls series. So the Bethesda engine is getting its largest upgrade before Starfield and Elder Scrolls, which is interesting because they've been developing both of those games, and I'm assuming it's on their proprietary creation engine. It's interesting because it's one of those things where a lot of people are complaining that this engine that they have is very outdated, and that's why when you look at a Fallout or Elder Scrolls game, even from way back in the day, even like Fallout 3 days, they weren't ever the best of graphics. And to me, in the beginning, I was like, okay, it's a big, large open world game. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, there's, maybe that's what's limiting the graphics, but we've gone past that now in terms of resources for games. And it's just the engine. The engine's
Can I just say
old.
how bad the engine is from Fallout 3? Dennis, you played Fallout 3, of course, right?
Yeah.
You know
One of my favorite
buses,
games of all time.
well, the trains, the trains they got. So they couldn't, in their game engine, they couldn't work out how to add vehicles. So the trains are actually NPCs with legs. If you actually take the trains out of the game, they have legs, Dennis. So when you get inside a train, you're actually inside a person. It's creepy. But yeah, they couldn't program vehicles into the game, so they just made the vehicles NPCs instead. Anyways, so that's how weird they're.
So people had been expecting them to maybe create a new engine and start from there, start from scratch. But it's just one of those things where they're so deep into their engine, and then just like they keep working on stuff before working on a new engine. So the next version is going to be an updated one, but not a brand new thing. And so I think people maybe graphics wise are not going to be the most satisfied. And I'm wondering, because I remember that when they started with it, the reason why they were doing it and why they keep going with it is a lot of the storytelling, the branching dialogue, the branching storylines, and the quests and all that stuff. It's very easy for them to create that in this engine, versus like going to Unreal or something else. So in order to keep along with that tradition, if they want to keep going with making those things easier, they'd have to create a brand new one. I guess they just haven't sunk the resources or time into doing it. So we'll see how this ends up for them when both these games come out in the next generation. I just wouldn't expect the best graphics possible.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, look, I get that, because what they do is they do try to develop a new game engine every single time that there's the next generation comes around. But I feel like they have been working on this game engine for a while. They must have, you know what I mean? But I just don't know, Dennis. Like you said, they haven't had the best track record with engines. But then again, some of their games where it's like, yes, look at Skyrim. The engine it was developed on, not the best, but the game itself is a masterpiece to the point where it's on it's on everything. It has been re-released God knows how many times, you know what I mean? So if maybe the game engine isn't that good, but if Starfield is like a banger, then it doesn't matter, Well, the Elder Scrolls 6 has got a lot of pressure on it because it has so many other games before that. You have to be better than Skyrim, you know what I mean? With the Elder Scrolls 6. With Starfield, it's a new IP, less pressure there. I think that, and it's also two very different worlds. So I'm curious as to what the engine really is going to be about, because space and a fantasy realm are two very different type of settings, you know what I mean? Whereas I think Starfield will look good because unless they're going for this huge universe, which they said that they are building, they said that this is the biggest world for Starfield. It's the biggest world that they've ever had to create, which makes sense because it's space. It's going to have to be huge. But I don't know, man. I really don't know what to think. I'm scared. I'm scared. Let's just leave it at that. I hope I get surprised.
I remember when the Fallout 4 teaser trailer had come out a while back, and I did a review, not a review, but a little reaction video to it. And I said the thing about Fallout, it's it looks fine graphically. I was like, these Bethesda games are not about graphics. You know what I mean? They're all about the open world nature, the characters, the story, the gameplay, all that stuff. So you don't really play those games for the best graphics possible. So I don't think it's as big a concern. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is joining Xbox Game Pass. Kind of. It's joining it through the EA Play. So you get the EA Play now if you do Game Pass Ultimate, not regular Game Pass. So if you do have Game Pass Ultimate, then you have EA Play, and then therefore you can play Jedi Fallen Order, which was one of my favorite games of last year. It was a lot of fun. I think I remember Control is my favorite game, and then Jedi Fallen Order and the Outer Worlds were the two other ones. So I think it's only been less than a year. It's coming out for people to play. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's dope. I like you. I love the game, and recently was trying to revisit it because I was booted up the old Xbox. But yeah, I think that's a great seller for people who are on the fence of maybe like upgrading to the Ultimate Pass. Because that game alone, I think that's worth it. It's $14.99 for a $50-$60 game like that. Right, that could have potentially rivaled being one of the best games of last year. So I think that's a good move, and it just shows more promise for the subscription service and Game Pass. It's like, all right, you're putting heavy hitters on there like that. Now give us Jedi Fallen Order 2. Put it on there too.
For sure.
I'm excited to see the future of it.
This is a loss for me, but only for me, because I don't own I have Xbox Game Pass, but I don't have an Xbox. Therefore, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is not worth my money. I would save money having EA Play and Xbox Game Pass for PC together. I just recently canceled my EA Play because I was only playing Anthem, and no one plays Anthem, and it's like I was actually just playing it for the story because I kind of like the story. By no means is Anthem any good. I want you all to know that now. I'm still waiting for the overhaul, but the game is obviously way better than launch day. I was enjoying Anthem for the most part and a couple of other games on there, but EA Play just wasn't worth it for me because I don't play a lot of sports games. If I did, it would be super worth it for me. So I canceled it. And I'm so sad because I actually would love to have played I would have loved to play Star Wars on my PC and see how much better the graphics would have been compared to the PS4. You know what I mean? So it is a slight loss for me, but it's a win for anybody with an Xbox. That's like anybody with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, like Dorian. It is a win. You know,
dude, I cancel my Game Pass. It's Team Sony over here, baby. We only
Team Sony. Dude, I mean, get Game Pass for PC then.
I'm just kidding. I still love it. I still love.
Like, man, I'm a Sony fanboy, but I think you'd be stupid not to get Xbox Game Pass, even if you're on if you're on PC and you don't have Xbox Game Pass. I think you're an idiot.
Wait, speaking of this is just random, but it says Rockstar reveals which games will be backwards compatible on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, LA Noire.
It makes sense. LA Noire had a cult following. A couple of my teachers were in that for mocap, which was cool. Real quick, because this has to tie in. I sent this to you guys as well, just worth mentioning because we're talking about it. Is EA Play has currently reached 6.5 million paid subscribers, and they plan on doubling that within a year. Which, because they're signing with Xbox Game Pass. They even said that they're like signing with Xbox. We plan to double that number. Like, well, of course, it's gonna happen. It's a win-win. But yeah, that's more than I thought was on EA Play currently. 6.5 million paying subscribers right now on EA Play, and that's without the tie into Game Pass. So
let me ask you a question, Josh. Are you, because I know Dorian really isn't into the Bethesda games. You're a big Fallout fan, right? And Elder Scrolls and Skyrim. So you will be getting. Well, I guess you could play it on PC as well.
Yeah, that was the only reason why I wasn't too worried about that procedure. I was a little scared at first, but eventually all these games will be going to PC. You know what I mean? Like,
hypothetically, what if the next Fallout game or the next Elder Scrolls game or Starfield comes out on Xbox, and then it will come out on PC, but it's like 6 months to a year later? You gonna wait that long?
No, I mean Starfield, yes, but for Elder Scrolls 6, no.
You got to day one that. It's got to be day one for you.
Dude, I have to. Like Elder Scrolls 6, I have to day one it. Dude, I've been playing that like religiously since Morrowind. Like
I remember that my roommate had it. He kept playing that game I didn't understand it because the graphics looked like crap. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I just got the ability to fly. And he was just flying around. And I was like, I didn't understand it. Then when I played Fallout and then later Skyrim, I was like, oh, I know what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Morrowind was like, compared to the previous game, it was 3D. It was a huge step up. It was like the previous game. I remember I think I played Arena, which was like the first ever Elder Scrolls game. And it was literally just a picture of a fist and if you had to punch someone, it would be the fist would be there, and that was the graphics. And the only way you could play it was either running old school Windows, or you'd have to set up DOSBox. I had to run it through DOS to play the game when I was younger. So now you'd still have to run it through DOSBox. But no,
I have a feeling it's gonna be Xbox PC day one. But I'm giving you a hypothetical.
Yeah, I think it will be, because that's what they did with I mean, previously, before it was exclusives, it was PlayStation, Xbox, and PC day one all together. You know what I mean? But then again, I don't like Fallout wasn't like that. I believe some of the Fallout games did take a bit longer to get to PC. Like, for instance, New Vegas took like years to get to PC, man. Like almost. Like,
well, they rushed that game in general. That was the buggiest game I've ever played in my life. It was New Vegas.
True. Especially with the companions and stuff. The companions are very buggy.
Crashing. I've never had a game crash so much in my life. All right, let's move on to my last thing, but we do have some more news that you guys have written down. This is Insert Coin documentary is coming out. This is something actually I don't know the guy in real life, but I'm friends with him on Twitter. But the director Joshua Su, he directed this documentary on Midway Games, is talking about the kind of the start of all the arcade games that Midway did back in the day, like Smash TV, Mortal Kombat, Narc, and a whole bunch of other ones. Whatchamacallit, was it NBA Jam? Like, and it's just kind of like the whole, like that generation. Because obviously now arcades, they aren't completely dead, because you do have a lot of barcades and whatever, and I always find those to be fun. But arcades were a huge deal, because back in the day, your console, while fun, would never be the same experience graphics wise and gameplay wise as arcades. Arcades were like the number one experience, but slowly home consoles caught up with arcades. But back then it was like, it was a big deal to, everyone would go to the arcade, play games, et cetera, et cetera. And so I don't know if you guys watched this documentary trailer, not the whole thing, but the trailer, because it's coming out on November 24th. I think it's going to be on one of those.
It's like Alamo Drafthouse Select. That's the thing about like it looks like it looks good. Like, and I saw one of the hosts from What's Good Gaming on there. I forgot her name, Andrea or something like that.
Yeah, I know her from Clever days. I used to work at Clever, and she worked there as well.
Yeah, it's just like and I'm definitely going to watch it, because I've seen the other documentaries about gaming, just like maybe you learning about the history of all that. So definitely interested. I just wish they I know money wise and all that. Like, I just wish they were on more mainstream, and got more mainstream love. Like the CBS, I feel like nobody has checked out the Streaming Wars one, because it's on the CBS and it's on.
I'm going to, because I got it, because I want to watch Star Trek Discovery. I haven't started the Star Trek Discovery season 3. Plus, I need to catch up on Lower Decks. You heard what?
I've heard bad things. Well, then again, if you've watched the first 2 seasons, you must like it. But I've been avoiding it. Is it good? Is it good? Genuinely?
I enjoy it, but I'm not a diehard Trekkie. Like, I'm a Star Trek fan. Like, I'm big into Next Generation. I enjoyed Voyager, but I never really got into the original series.
I just like good sci-fi shows.
I didn't watch
Picard was amazing. Like, Picard was.
So I enjoyed Picard, but there's a group of diehard Star Trek fans that don't like any of the new movies. They don't like Discovery. They don't like Picard. They don't like anything. Which is kind of ironic. Which is kind of ironic, huh?
I say you can say the same for Star Wars.
Yeah. It's look. I mean, Star Wars less so, but the Star Trek fans that are crapping on the new stuff, it's like, you do understand, without this new stuff, Star Trek would be dead right now. Be like absolutely, like, I've gone to the Star Trek convention before, and I enjoy Star Trek, but it's like, these new properties are the things that are bringing life and new fans and people into it, instead of just having a whole bunch of like older people. There's nothing wrong with older people and older fans, but what I'm saying is you gotta have the older fans and the new fans. Same thing with Star Wars or whatever. But anyways, I'm digressing here. You have all these like Netflix had their series, right? High Score. You had the Console Wars documentary on CBS All Access, which Dorian watched and he really liked it. You have this Insert Coin documentary that's on Alamo Drafthouse VOD. So you have all these cool content, but they're kind of spread amongst different channels,
But I'm gonna definitely support these Alamo Drafthouse from Austin, Texas, baby. Gotta support the fam.
Nice. But yeah, maybe we can interview Joshua. I'll reach out to him on Twitter and see if he has time to talk about it. All right, I think that's it for my topics. But you guys have a bunch of stuff. Dorian, you said there's some Apex stuff going on.
Yeah, Josh has some other stuff that he added on, but the main thing is season 7 started yesterday. 2 days. I don't have a good sense of time right now because I've been up and on for the past like 3 days, just worried about the selection. But just dropped recently. It's amazing. They added a new map as well as a new character named Horizon. She adds a interesting new dynamic to the gameplay. I played with her a little bit. Took me a while. I'm still haven't like necessarily gotten the full groove with her, but her abilities are she basically does the same type of thing as Octane, where she creates device that propels you up into the sky, gives you advantages on your enemies and things like that if you need to escape or something. And she also, her ultimate ability creates a vacuum that draws and sucks enemies into it, or like weapons or anything, guns, anything, shoots it into zooms it into one direction, so you can focus on that if you want to aim all in that. Forgot the Overwatch character's name that does that. Josh, you know what I'm talking about? Do you play Overwatch?
No, but I know some of the characters.
I can't remember the character, but she shoots a big bomb and it sucks everybody in. So that's essentially what her character does. I don't know what that is. But the map itself is pretty cool. It's a futuristic style of one of the previous maps, and it adds a whole new dynamic to the gameplay, because not only is it a much more open map, there's houses and things like that, but it also gives us vehicles, which is something I really didn't think would be ever incorporated into Apex. We've gone six seasons now, so didn't expect it to drop in season 7, but it did, and I was a little bit worried about it at first, but I thought it added some cool new things to the gameplay. Like once a year, 3 people can ride on it at once, and depending on the character you're using, you can use their ultimate ability, not their ultimate, but their passive ability, and it kind of incorporates with the vehicle itself. But I think it's just the driving itself is pretty cool, but just being able to run up on people, because like when I first got my kills, like we just drove up on somebody, just like a fashion ride up on somebody, like get out the car, you just got to handle your business, and you get back in, then you drive away. So I love the new car aspect of it. But all in all, I think it's season 7's shaping up to be something pretty cool. Season 6 ended on a high note. I ended on like gold place rank 4. I wanted to do better, but I couldn't break out of the gold rank 4. But all in all, I'm pretty excited about it. And I know, Josh, you have some other like extra things that they added to Apex as well.
Yeah, I mean, I gave my impressions on the new season on the previous podcast, and I'm really looking forward to playing it. I was updating my game right before this, so me and Dorian can maybe play a few rounds a bit later. Vehicles I'm excited about. Cool, because you can mount any weapon to it. Obviously, the chick who uses the Gatling gun is the best in that situation, but any other guns can be mounted onto it. Like you said, you can put people's abilities on there as well. From what I've heard, you can put Caustic's tanks on it, shoot it, and then drive, and you literally leave like a trail of the Caustic smoke, which is sick. You can put Gibraltar's shield on the front, drive through that, use it like... There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can use it, which I'm very impressed by. But to add in a couple things that we've found out since the release, first and foremost is that apparently the Battle Pass, they have altered Season 7 Battle Pass because people were complaining that the progression was too slow and it was too difficult to progress through the new Battle Pass. So they've listened to the fans, they've made some changes, and I think it was like the amount of experience points required for each star has been halved from 10,000 to 5,000 as of today. So it was like they literally like have the amount of XP you need to level up in certain situations, which is good, because people were complaining it was too much. It was like it was too difficult to get through the Battle Pass, which is good. And then also just to bring up, which is impressive, not super impressive when you compare it to other battle royales, but within the 2 years, Apex Legends became $1 billion freaking IP within 2 years, which is still impressive. I just thought that was worth mentioning. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's bringing in more than $500 million a year. You know what I mean?
They deserve it.
They deserve it. Yeah, it's good. And then this, maybe you can talk more about this. They're bringing back for the holidays. They're doing the Holo Day Bash, the Winter Express, which was this game mode where you have to like fight for control of the train. So they're bringing that back, which is quite cool. And it looks like they have a couple of other plans for like some holiday planned events and stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, I didn't actually. I don't think I ever even participated in the winter one because when you brought that to me, I was like, oh, that seems dope. So
I
I'm
know for
excited.
a fact you have because I remember you talking about it. I remember you
I
reviewing it.
remember, but there are train like I remember playing like I know like I don't know if the what I
I think
played I'm not sure if it was like the same mode, but I know there's
it gave
trains
you
and stuff.
weapons already. Like that was remember it was a game mode where it's like you started with weapons, you didn't go
Okay, well then
looting
I
shit.
remember. Okay, are you sure that's the
Yeah.
winter mode though? Like is that
I'm
the
pretty. It
winter?
was, yeah, because you're fighting for control of the train. I think you know what I mean.
Uh,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Either way, it was a fun game mode when I played it. They're bringing it back, which is good. Hopefully, it's like going to be a yearly thing now. Every year, we're going to have this Hollow Day bash. Um, but yeah, it looks sick. I thought that would be worth mentioning for the Apex stuff, real quick.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm excited about it. We're gonna jump on, get some rounds in, try to get competitive mode going and stuff like that. So yeah, that I think that besides that, yeah, that's all I really had on my end. You know,
Okay.
PlayStation. I've talked enough about the PlayStation 5 here. So
Ooh,
Josh, it's all
I
uh,
you.
got some big news here that is like I got some other small stuff I'll mention just now, but this big news I would like to get your guys'
okay.
opinion on, which
Sure.
is that Capcom was hit with a ransomware attack. Now,
Oh,
I knew about this a few days ago, but things have escalated since then, which is that they are being extorted for $11 million by the hackers.
jeez. Jeez.
Um, yeah, which is crazy. Also, they'd like to say no one's information was taken, like no private information was taken away from other people. It seems more like their own private information. But yeah, ransomware, they're being extorted for $11 million. Definitely worth talking up. And it's unfortunate because I think Capcom, right before this happened, I think Capcom was already in the procedure of closing a lot of like arcades that it owns because obviously with the pandemic going forward, every arcade's going to die, unfortunately. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Maybe they'll make a comeback in a few years, but currently the majority of arcades are closing down for good. So they had to close down a lot of like their offices and stuff like that and their arcades
I didn't
right
even
before
know
this
Capcom
happened.
still had arcades open.
Yeah, well, like and Sega as well. Sega had to,
Sega closed theirs, like the big
yeah,
one in
and the
Japan.
big in Akibara, yeah, they had to
Yeah,
close the
that's
big one,
super
which is
famous one.
so it just sucks, man. Like I do like Capcom as well, but it's like it sucks because they're still a huge company in terms of the IPs they own and all the other companies that they own, you know what I mean? But like that's gonna hurt, dude. $11 million. Like, I mean, mind you, that's if they pay it, if they like can't find a way around it, you know what I mean? Whereas like if this had to happen to Take-Two Interactive, for instance, $11 million, they can shrug that off. They can be like, here you go. Have your $1 million, you know what I mean? Because Take-Two Interactive makes billions. So it's just sad that it happened to Capcom. I thought that was worth mentioning,
Yeah, where are these hackers when we needed them for Trump, bro? Like,
right?
come on.
And then I would love your guys' opinions on this because I think that this is just crazy talk, man. I love Take Two, but I also hate Take Two Interactive because it's like I love them because they own Rockstar Games, but I also hate them because of like look, I love it's funny because I love their games. It's just I don't like the microtransactions. I don't like the whole illegal gambling aspects of it. Like I think it was 2K20, which is an amazing game. I love it, but there was too much like the microtransactions in that game, and it always has been this year. But recently, I think it was the boss, the Take Two Interactive boss. He says that he believes that we charge less for our games than they're worth, which look, considering you're releasing the same game every year with slightly better graphics, you know what I mean? If you're looking at like NBA 2K20, 2K19, 2K18, how can you tell me those games are underpriced when it's the same freaking game every year? I mean, yeah, now they've added some story functions and they've added some other stuff like that too. But considering that they wanted to up the price next year of all their games by an extra $10 for the PS5 and Xbox Series X, they said our next gen games deserve to cost more, which I don't know the process around that. I just don't know how. I don't know what this dude's smoking for him to believe that his games, considering how much microtransactions their games make, I think it's
That's the
crazy.
other thing.
I think it's crazy for them to say that their games are underpriced. I mean, dude, GTA Online makes so. How can you say that your games are underpriced when you own GTA Online? Like when you own the most expensive IP in the world, like that. GTA 5 has made more money than any piece of entertainment ever. You know what I mean? Ever. And how can you say that your games are underpriced? And like that's crazy. When you own like Rockstar Games and all these other companies, I think that they're absolutely crazy.
That's what happens,
and
man.
then
When people get money or success, they just want more. They want to
one
keep
more, man.
Yeah.
And here's something else that I know you guys aren't going to agree with. It's he also said in a statement that he thinks that game subscription services like Game Pass will die. They're not the future.
That's wrong.
It's so wrong, dude. Like especially with
it is
xCloud coming out.
it is the future.
What an idiot, dude. That's like someone coming up with like Netflix and be like, hey, like this is like when Netflix was first a thing. They're like, we're gonna like someone. It's like someone telling you the idea of Netflix and you going, that's never gonna happen. Netflix.
That's what happened to Blockbuster.
Streaming. Yeah, literally, like that's Take-Two Interactive sounds like Blockbuster right now when it came to Netflix. They're like, nah, we don't have to worry about that. Bro, Take-Two, make some deals with one of the, if you guys don't make deals with Stadia or freaking xCloud or like the Game Pass stream, if you guys don't make those deals, man, in the future, like, I mean, Rockstar is going to do great, but I don't think anyone's going to be caring about the other games that Take-Two does. You know what I mean? I felt like that was just crazy talk, which is I just felt like bringing it up to you guys. It's just crazy. Like, how could you even think of that, considering how much money they make? Like I just said, I mean, EA Play, which isn't even the most popular one. EA Play is currently got 6.5 million paying subscribers. That's more paying subscribers than you have, Take-Two Interactive. I mean, well, minus GTA Online and Red Dead Online, but yeah, had to bring that up because that's just, like I said, that's just absolutely bonkers, man. And then I got a couple of small things.
Dennis, the light is like directly in your face. Like, can you move your window or something?
No, I can't move my window.
No.
I move your window, move the shades or something.
Can't move it.
That was such an honest response as well. No, can't move my window.
So yeah. So when I can't move the shades.
It's just like it's just distracting because it's literally in the line side of your like face, like symmetrically wise, like right lining up. Yeah, just
here, hold on,
like scoot over just a tad bit or something. Yeah.
Here, I'll go here. There we go.
All right.
Now it's on my. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it.
I'm gonna blast through these last ones real quick because they're small, but they're interesting. Like Ubisoft added a pro baseball player to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like fully mocapped the LA Dodgers outfielder Cody Bellinger. I'm guessing they've mocapped him into the game.
Don't follow baseball, so
neither do I. But it's crazy. Like, but obviously suiting the world. Like his baseball bat is just like covered in like barbed wire and it's very medieval looking. But he's just there playing baseball, just swinging, just hitting home runs in the game. Which I thought like it doesn't add much other than that, but he's in there. Interesting choice. And then this, I know I'm pretty sure I got you guys to look at these before the time, but Adidas announced Cyberpunk 2077 shoes, and they look disgusting.
I have no thoughts on them. I don't want to.
I saw the pictures, and I didn't. To me, they didn't look disgusting, but they didn't look as good as they look.
I'll just say,
as what I wanted.
Yeah.
It just
like I thought they would be more like the yellow. You know what I mean? Like the Cyberpunk colors that we were used to, right? That kind of retro 80s cyberpunk futuristic dystopia look to them, and they look a little plain compared to what I thought they would be. That's my thing.
Look small, like the material itself. Like I like shoes like that, but then you got to go for a minimalistic design. If you're using thinner material and like making a smaller shoe, you got to go for like a more minimalistic approach. I do kind of like their design. I just don't like the materials they used, and I don't like that off-white kind of like grayish color that they used. But I'm thinking to myself how nice these shoes would have looked, and Dorian, maybe you'll agree with me on this, is if they made these high tops instead. It would have looked so much better if they made these high tops instead, and they just like literally, like I think that's it. If they just made it high tops instead, it still wouldn't look good because of the color scheme, I think. But yeah, like besides the black and red, what else about it?
Oh, there's two shoes too. The black one with the Cyberpunk logo on it, and then there's the off gray one. I didn't notice there's a second one. Still doesn't look that great. It's like,
wait, are you looking at the white ones that say Ninja? Or no, those are Ninja.
No. Go further down. There's another one. It's the black
nice, one. Actually,
the black and yellow.
I don't like the logo. I don't like I like the yellow laces on the black.
See, yeah, those look like running shoes. I rock those easy.
I wish the logo was more I don't know, prominent. I guess.
I like the shoes. I just don't care that it's like for me, like I like those shoes just as shoes. I don't even see the Cyberpunk tie-in really. I can see the logo, but besides that, I wouldn't even consider it a Cyberpunk 2070 shoe. It just looks like a nice pair of running shoes.
We're looking at the other one. It's not a bad shoe. Like I don't not like it, but I feel like I would rock this shoe if they took off the punk, like if they took off the punk and the turquoise blue and just had that. I would rock that as like a regular shoe, but if we're trying to make this cyberpunk-esque, I like the other one more. I'll just say that. I like the black and yellow with Khalifa. But yeah.
And then I got some Call of Duty Cold War news for us. This one is one that I had a feeling they were going to do because of how popular Warzone is and how much people play Warzone. I was curious as to what would happen to Warzone when Cold War comes out. And they've said that they're tying it in. Hold on, let me read this right. Black Ops Cold War will share all progression with Warzone and Modern Warfare. So all of the progression you have, like to your character right now in Warzone, will be carried over to Cold War and vice versa. Also with the previous Modern Warfare game, because their servers are still extremely active. So they decided, like, you guys are going to share. You're sharing your experience, your classes, your prestiges, all those things. You're not starting from scratch, which I think is kind of cool. Especially considering how much people play Warzone. But yeah, they've managed to tie it all in together, which is quite interesting. All the progress is tied together. I think it's quite, Cold War, Warzone, and Modern Warfare. Your seasonal levels and your prestige, all that stuff. It's going to be tied together, which is quite cool. And then this is, I don't know how I feel about this. I guess it's a little bit better, but the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War install size is going to be 90 gigs, which is smaller than original. Still pretty big. Still big, but I mean, like, considering what's that game file going to look like after 6 months of updates? You know what I mean? Because like that's what happened to Modern Warfare as well with Warzone, where it was like it wasn't that the game was about like 100 gigs. And now the game's 250 gigs if you have both installed. You know what I mean? Now you have the option of choosing which game modes to install. So you can now have just Warzone without having to have Modern Warfare installed. But I don't know. Like, I guess it's better. You can't really complain, because I think originally it was going to be more than 100 gigs, but they managed to get it down to 90 gigs. But once again, that still raises questions as to how big that game file size is going to be after a couple of updates. You know what I mean? From the game itself. And that's all the important stuff I have listed here. This is maybe important to some people. I know it's important to my nephew, which is that Fortnite might be playable again on iOS through NVIDIA's GeForce Now app. So they might be able to bypass the iOS store, which is similar as to how they were doing xCloud through a browser, I guess. Now with NVIDIA GeForce Now, you'll be able to hopefully play Fortnite on iOS again, which is huge for all the kids out there. This is gaming related because I mean, I don't know if it's gaming related or not, but there's a Lego Star Wars holiday coming out, which is crazy because I never thought that Star Wars would ever do anything holiday related again since their fiasco from the 90s, I believe, their little Christmas special with Luke Skywalker.
No, 80s. It was in the 80s.
80s, yeah. That was an interesting clip. If you guys have never seen it before, look it up on YouTube, the 80s Star Wars holiday special. It was something else. But yeah, they're doing a holiday special and it includes Lego Baby Yoda. Don't know if you guys care about that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they want to go back to the 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for live action. They want to go to like the old, and I'm with that. I'm there for it. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of like the 90s. It was very goofy, but I liked it. Like the suits looked stupid, but I like that. So they want to go more in that direction. And then this gaming related, it's the Demon Souls character creator looks amazing. Like amazing. Not as amazing as Baldur's Gate 3, which apparently has got the best character creator ever. But the fact that Demon Souls characters have always just looked meh or bland, like it's not about what your character looks like. You know, you're going to be putting on armor anyways, but it looks good. People are happy about that. And then Dorian, you could actually confirm this for me possibly, which is that the PS5 DualSense controller, I believe, you know that little touchpad you're touching? I believe it's detachable, which means there's customization options in the future.
I'm not going to try it.
Don't try it. Yeah. The DualSense controller seemingly features a removable faceplate. So I don't know. It just says faceplate. So maybe it isn't that part of it. So don't try. But one of the things on the controller can be removed, which is for future customization. And then this is for you, Dennis. Control for PS5 and Xbox Series is delayed to 2021.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
I'm not rushing it. It's on PC, so if you've got a PC,
they released the Ultimate Edition that has all the DLC and remastered and whatnot, and it's a great game. I still need to finish the DLC though, so I'm not in a big rush.
And then I feel like this is worth mentioning because I remember saying when we saw the PlayStation Experience, they announced that game with like the cars and the people, and we all of us didn't know what the hell was happening. You know what I mean? We're like, it looks cool, but I don't know what this game's about. Well, apparently they've now like released information about the multiplayer modes, and I'm reading up about it, and I still don't know what the hell this game's about. So interesting. Oh yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Crash Bandicoot 4 is having a crossover. I'm guessing it's probably just going to be cosmetics for your skateboard and stuff. That's not important. And then this, I don't know how you guys feel about this. The Medium is delayed until January. The Medium, which is a new horror game.
For the Xbox, right? It's the Xbox game. Yeah, it's like all the Xbox games are getting delayed.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy choice to make, but one made due to the COVID-19 situation in Poland. Yeah, so
I just feel like the Xbox just doesn't. I mean, like people have been arguing with me. Yes, like the Miles Morales game is also available on PS4 as well as the PS5, but it just feels like there's just a little more, or actually, it doesn't even feel like you can tell there's more excitement around the PS5 launch because they actually maybe not have a ton more stuff, but it just has some stuff that people are, the Xbox Halo Infinite wasn't going to be an Xbox Series X exclusive either. They're going to have it on PC. They're going to have an Xbox One version of it. But what I mean is like their company's kind of exclusive stuff, and that's what I consider Miles Morales as, yes, you can get on PS4, but if you really want to play it the best way possible, PS5, so I just feel like there's just not as much as hype going in because Xbox is going to be a little late. I think we talked about it before. I think, a year from now, they're probably going to be in good shape. But right now, just not too much going on. Yeah.
And then this is also super quick, interesting, but I guess priorities lie somewhere else with PlayStation, because I know with the Xbox Series X, you're able to get, you can expand your internal storage, or you get those cards you can put in that they're doing. PS5 does not have. They said that you won't be able to expand your internal storage on the PS5 at launch. Okay. So you're going to have to wait a while until they have like their own, because they're not even recommending third-party things right now. And I think they will in the future. It's just currently they got other things on their mind right now to worry about, you know what I mean? But at launch, you won't be able to expand your storage, at least with the official like Sony thing. Did you ever play Vampire the Masquerade?
Dennis? No, but I know the game you're talking about. I think I may have played a demo before, but I never played like the full game.
From the 90s, it is one of my favorite games of all time. They released another game recently, which was like a text-based adventure, but there's a lot of hype for the sequel. But apparently, while they were working on the sequel, they decided to do a battle royale. And I don't know how I feel about this, but the more I talk to people about this, I could see how a vampire battle royale could actually be quite sick, because the abilities are... That could be quite fun, especially, I don't know how they would do it, but I could be fun. I was hesitant at first because this is one Masquerade, a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That game was my childhood. Like that was one of the best RPGs I've ever played. Like it was dark, like I loved it. So I'm very skeptical about this Battle Royale, but it seems to be positively like received from fans of the series, saying that they could see how it could work as a battle royale. I'm just curious as to how many people would be in a game, what powers they'll be using, how much of the lore will be incorporated, because there's like 3 different clans or like cults or houses or however you want to look at it. So I'm curious as to how that's going to work. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, and Dungeons 3 is free on the Epic Store right now, and then we have Immortals Phoenix Rising. We have these system requirements, and they're very specific. Like, they don't just have your usual recommended and minimal. They have your very low settings so they have like settings for 720 30 FPS. They have the recommended hardware for 1080 30 FPS, 1080 60 FPS, and then obviously you got your higher ones like 4K 30 FPS. You're going to need the GeForce GTX 2070 Super or the AMD RX Vega 56. With your like 8 gigs of VRAM, 16. It's either way, it's just very thorough. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, definitely worth checking out. That is all the news I got.
All right, cool. I think that's it. All right, Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can actually find me. I believe that the Discord gets linked in every single video now.
Yes, now it does.
The the best way to reach me is on Discord. I had one of you guys actually reach out to me today on Discord saying you can't access me on Twitch. And I had to take a look at that. I use my Twitch account every day, but I think I didn't, because I haven't streamed in so long. And also I never confirmed my email address. I don't think I show up in the search. So if you guys are looking for me on Twitch, I'm not even showing up in the search, which is, I need to fix that. So currently the best way to get hold of me is on Discord and right here on the Collider Games channel.
Okay, cool. Dorian?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Dorian Parks and Rec, and you can find me on Instagram.
Cool. And you guys can find my Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Also, you can find me on the Oculus Quest if you have Population 1. I mean, you can find me on there if you don't have that game, but me and Dorian have been playing up that game, been playing with Mark. We got to play with one of the developers from Big Box who made the game. And we have an interview coming. I'm still editing that with the two co-founders. And yeah, that game is a blast to play. I never played too many battle royale games, but this one just fits right into to what I like to do. So anyways, that's it for us. Subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/Collider Games, and follow us on our factory feed, which is our podcast feed. Until next time, see you guys later.
See ya.